Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the VCO Esports Studio with me, Ben Constanduros. Gosh, so much going on in the world of VCO and sim racing right now, and it's already time for round 2 of the GT Pro Series on rFactor 2. This evening, we're previewing the race at Portland, which comes across at 8 o'clock local time with Renaud Boutler, your lead commentator. We get a chance to speak to the championship leader right now, Erhan Jajovski, for R8G Esports, but best known just for being an absolute legend on rFactor 2. Erhan, how are you this evening?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, very, very good. I'm in my jumper today because you can see the snowflake. It's actually snowing just behind you there. So very cold weather where I am right now. Let's talk a little bit about the championship so far. First round at Sebring 2 weeks ago on Monday evening, live on the VCO YouTube channel. And ultimately, you didn't star in either race, but you got decent enough points to be leading the championship coming away from it.
Yeah, Nicodem stole my pole position and win at the end there. It was a fierce fight for the win in the sprint race, but he got on top of it. And in the main, I had to keep my nose clean and gain as much as positions as possible, more than him, so I can win the round.
Yeah, winning the round, of course, and collecting the points, the most important thing. Hani Al Sabti won the feature race, and we spoke to him afterwards. You can have a look at his interview here on the VCO Esports YouTube channel as well. Just search all the different chats that we've had across the year. But it's good to really focus a little bit on rFactor 2. What does rFactor 2 to you, Erhan, mean in terms of the performance that you get and how it compares to the other platforms out there?
For me personally, I think the game is most natural when it comes to the driving, the feeling of the car, the tires, the feel of the track, and everything. It comes natural to me. I tried the different simulators, and I just I will take iRacing for example. It will take me a lot more time to get used to the feeling to iRacing than it was for rFactor.
So very intuitive and easy to get into. The championship itself, incredibly competitive.
Yeah, it is, especially when you have one of the top drivers in rFactor 2. This
You mean you? You're the top driver, right?
No. There are a lot top drivers.
And so how do you make the difference then? If there are so many competitors that are so equal on time, we see, everyone does so much practice and are able, unlike in the real world, to just test all the time. How can you find that difference?
This season especially, we are like more than half of the field in the same car, so it's much more closer. It's much more competitive. So we test a lot with the team, test various kind of setups, various kind of conditions. It just need to put the time in to get on top.
So what's the process then? Do you have set periods of time where you meet up with your teammates and do a couple of test sessions, compare, have a run plan? Is it as professional as that?
At the beginning of the week, we test privately, like
okay.
And then when we get closer to the race week, we do a couple of race sims and compare the tire wear and those sorts of things.
So the team element is a pretty crucial part of being able to be competitive in this series.
It definitely is. When you have a couple of pretty fast teammates, it's much easier to get the job done than working alone.
And for you, is there a hierarchy? Is there a number one, a number two, a number three driver? If you see somebody in your mirrors, you're going to wave him past or make sure you stay ahead?
No, there is not. We have a we have an agreement. If the driver behind me is faster than me, I will not fight him. I will just let him pass.
Okay. But what about later on in the season when we get to the closing stages and you're fighting for the championship? Surely it would help to have a teammate perhaps get in the, especially in the reverse grid race, get in the way a little bit.
Definitely, it's all about the teamwork. If someone is close to clinching the championship, we are gonna all work to achieve the goal.
Still a long way off the end of the championship, though. Plenty of races still to go. Portland, as I said, coming up this evening at 8 o'clock local time. So make sure you stay across the VCO YouTube channel and all the social channels to enjoy and watch the second round of the championship. Let's talk now generally about kind of your involvement in sim racing. How did you first kind of hear about the possibility of racing online?
It's all started as a hobby. As a teenager, I just bought a wheel, bought Assetto Corsa, and just was driving the Nordschleife day long, day night.
But like, is there a culture of motorsport? You're from Macedonia, correct? So
yeah,
it's not somewhere where I don't think there's ever been a Macedonian Formula One driver. So how did you kind of even have that passion?
Actually, when I started watching Formula One when I was really young,
Okay.
and the passion for motorsport arose from that. And
Was that
then
because
on,
your parents were watching Formula One, or you just
no,
sneaked
just
into a
me,
different rim?
just
Really?
me. Yeah.
Amazing.
After that, I started getting more into motorsport, and that's here we are today.
Presumably, though, there wasn't that many opportunities for you to get involved in real world motorsport, even from a young age.
Yeah, the chances of making into the motorsport here are very slim. There is no motorsport
Really?
at all. Yeah.
So there isn't the most famous Macedonian. Who is the most famous Macedonian racing driver?
Let me look up the name, but I don't remember out of my top of my head.
Okay, if I say
he races in the TCR Southeast Championship.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I commentated on TCR and I can't remember one. Stefanovski. There you go. Okay, so he would be the most well-known Macedonian racing driver. Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, did you ever have kind of desires to do real-world racing, or has it always been about sim racing because that was your only opportunity?
Once I got into sim racing, my passion grew bigger and bigger to try real things, and I got the chance to try the real deal thanks to World's Fastest Gamer.
Yeah. How was that experience for you? That must have been absolutely mental.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And not many people know what that really involved. We've had a few guests on here who took part in that series, but you guys were flown out to America, presumably your first time in America, and then all of these insane competitions.
Exactly. We were flown to America, to Las Vegas, and then we drove across California to San Francisco. We visited Laguna Seca, Willow Springs. Yeah, it was quite unbelievable.
And when you visited Laguna Seca, having done so many laps, presumably on the sim, did it feel kind of homely to you? Did you get, I know where we are?
It felt really similar to the sim version.
Yeah, and that gave you confidence in driving?
Yeah.
How awesome. So would you consider yourself, being part of Romain Grosjean's team, would you consider yourself a professional sim racer now? And when did that kind of moment come from just having a bit of fun and a bit of a hobby to, oh, actually, this is something where I can make money?
I committed full time to sim racing at the beginning of 2019. Okay. I said let's try it out for let's see how it turns out. Then at the beginning of September of 2019, we got approached by AAA. We got signed by them, first contract, and then uh, beginning of April or May this year, we got recruited to rHG Esports, and I think the sim racing is gonna grow just day by day, exponentially.
What's it mean to be part of a team like R8G? Obviously, teammates helping you out, doing setup and stuff like that, but having a name like Romain Grosjean behind you, of course, now no longer going to be a Formula One driver at the very least, so perhaps even more time to be able to spend with you guys. What kind of support do you get from the team?
It's a real privilege to drive for him. I mean, he's really active with us. He chats every day, even when he's on a F1 weekend, he finds the time to chat with us. So I find that quite. I'm lost for words, honestly.
It's quite interesting because, you know, Fernando Alonso for a few years had a sim racing team and never even competed in it and never really did anything with them. So
Exactly.
amazing to know that Romain is so involved, even though, as I said, I think last week to Hani Al Sabti, he's not very good, is he? He's not very fast. You guys need to give him a bit more training.
We can handle that. We have the skill.
So far to date, then, obviously, World's Fastest Gamer, an amazing experience for you. What would you say was the biggest sim racing moment that you've experienced so far in your career?
Participating the 24-hour of Le Mans and
I wondered
getting
if you were
on
going to say that.
podium.
I thought you might.
Because
Talk us about that.
Yeah, we were on to the. We didn't have the chance to win and the pace, especially because the Porsches were so fast. But after the second restart, we were second, and everything was all good. Like just before an hour before the end, and we had an accident on the second Mulsanne chicane, and that dropped us to third. But overall, I'm very happy and very privileged to have taken part in it.
Oh, what was the experience like jumping into servers and forums with multiple Formula One champions, multiple WEC champions, so many people that you'd watched and followed in the world of motorsport, and you're in the same race as them?
It's quite unbelievable. Driving with them together, sharing the same track, same passion. Especially they, our drivers were. One of our drivers was pretty experienced in the sim racing, as you know, Daniel Juncadella. He does a lot of iRacing, but
Yep.
Matthias Becke, he was a newbie, just starting to sim racing, but he got to pace so fast. I was really surprised. He was banging on the laps.
But so talking about platforms, then we touched on it at the very start. Juncadella coming from iRacing, coming from the real world. What are the differences between them, and are you kind of very much just rFactor 2 and that's it, or do you enjoy also racing in other platforms as well?
I started doing a lot of race room lately.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've commentated on you on Race Room, I think.
Yeah, I started doing race room lately, trying to get into iRacing, but to reach the top level is really difficult, especially when you change so many games. You have to adapt them each time, and then it all gets. Yeah, it's really hard.
And what drives you to choose a particular competition, a particular championship, especially switching? I remember you were doing some of the Porsche things on Race Room. What kind of made you make that jump, and was that jump an easy thing to do?
Mostly, I aim for bigger prize pool competitions.
Money.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So for you then, what does being a professional driver mean? You said you started in 2019. What's your kind of day, your week like?
I drive daily, but I don't drive 7 or 8 hours like the F1 esports. Some of the F1 esports guys.
Mm.
I have a regular life. I go to work. We have a family-owned business.
Okay.
That's about all.
Okay, so still kind of a little bit on the side from another world. It's not your whole world.
Exactly. Yeah.
That must be very frustrating for your competitors when you're beating them and knowing that you're not doing like 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
Erhan, thank you very much for your time. And obviously, we're early into the championship, so we wish you the best across the whole of the championship coming up this evening at 8 o'clock local time in Europe. It's the second round of the VCO GT Pro Series. And Erhan is the championship leader. Oh, we didn't do it at the start. How do you actually say your name, Erhan?
Erhan Jajovski.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So actually not. Sometimes we find out that people's names are totally different, but actually yours is not too bad. I'm not quite sure I can have the Macedonian roll for the Erhan. That's not too bad.
You are doing good.
Thank you very much. Good luck. And thank you very much for your time. And we look forward to following you at Portland this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We will be talking next week to who knows. It's always such a surprise. But the VCO Esports Studio will be back next week. And then the week after, we'll be back on the GT Pro Series and talking to one another of the competitors there. But for the moment, plenty for you to whet your appetite on. VCO is going from strength to strength. We've just had the first round of the 24 series presented by VCO, and we've got the Pro Sim series coming up for you starting in November as well. So loads of things for you to enjoy. And for the moment, enjoy the GT Pro series on rFactor 2 this evening at 8 o'clock. My name has been Ben Constanduros, and until next week, have fun.